Portions of the following program may have been pre-recorded.
Your local music played coast to coast. The only nationally local radio station. You're listening to WSRR Radio.
After Hours.
The following conversations are that of conspiracy and should be viewed as such. Viewer discretion is advised.
For the intended and optimal listening purpose, we strongly encourage you to tune into WSRR Radio Monday nights after midnight to hear and contribute to the live broadcast. The following is not intended for the light of day. I always make sure I make it clear when you use the text line or send me something off the record to discuss here on After Midnight. You are under no obligation to reveal your identity or give any kind of personally identifiable information. And for anonymity's sake, this suggestion for this deep dive came from Kay. So let's dive into this. It's May 1973 on the Isle of Wight. This is an isle off the southern coast of England. The Cold War is still simmering. UFO reports are making newspaper headlines around the world, and Britain is in the middle of a decade filled with strange paranormal claims. Two children, a 7-year-old girl and her younger brother, are playing in a marshy area known as Lake Common, just outside the town of Sandow. And they hear something unusual. It's not a voice, it's not an animal, but a strange wailing sound. The children later described it as being similar to an ambulance siren, but odd and distorted. Curious, they investigate. They follow the noise across a small footbridge and into an area of rough ground and vegetation. What they claimed to find there would become one of the strangest encounters ever recorded in UK history, because standing before them is a figure they describe as roughly 7 feet tall. At first glance it appears human, but the details don't add up. The children claim that this figure has a white face, blue triangular markings where his eyes should be, a rectangular shaped nose that's brown, yellow lips that don't move, brown red hair poking out beneath a yellow pointed hat. He is wearing what appears to be a patchwork or handmade outfit of green, red, yellow, and other bright colors. They describe the figure as only having 3 fingers and 3 toes, making the statement that the hands were covered in blue, almost surgical-like gloves, and the feet were uncovered in white, pale. The children later describe it as looking like a clown, but not a circus clown, more like it was designed by somebody who had only heard a description of what a clown looks like. The figure is reported to be carrying something that resembles a microphone attached to a white cable. And the strange wailing noise seemed to have been coming from it. Despite the bizarre appearance and the sudden approaching of it, the entity doesn't threaten them. Instead, it speaks to them. They say the voice is strange and mechanical, and they later said it seemed as though the words were not coming directly from the mouth, but from somewhere else. The figures introduced itself with a name that would become famous among paranormal researchers and investigators. It says that his name is All Colors Sam. And the children, curious, begin to ask questions. What are you? Who are you? And according to their account, the answers are just absolutely confusing. At one point, Sam allegedly says that he's not a man or a woman, that he's not necessarily a ghost. that he has no name, despite him calling himself Sam initially. The entity seems unable or unwilling to explain exactly what he is. It doesn't claim to be an alien, and it claims that it's not exactly a ghost, but it speaks in cryptic phrases that leave the children even more confused. But then things get stranger. This entity that we'll call Sam invites the children into a nearby structure. The structure is described as a small metallic hut in the area, similar to a temporary housing statement for construction workers. Inside the house are sparse furnishings, strange equipment, space heaters, wooden furniture, tables, chairs, but nothing threatening. The children remain there for roughly 30 minutes, talking with Sam. What happens next is one of the most bizarre details of the story. The children offer Sam some berries, which Sam replies by saying that's how he's survived. Eating these berries, harvesting them late in the evening, and using them as his only source of food. But instead of eating these berries normally, Sam reportedly places one of the berries against his ear and shakes his head in a vigorous, unnatural way. The child reports that he claimed this to be some kind of magic trick or party trick, for lack of a better word, and after about a minute of this vigorous, unnatural head shaking, the berry was removed from his nose. Throughout the encounter, the children continue to describe Sam as friendly, never sinister or aggressive, just strange, like something's off. And again, after about a half hour to 40 minutes, they leave and return home. And the story may have ended there, but the children's father becomes interested in what they've told him. And eventually he contacts investigators associated with a British UFO Research Association known as Bufora. Years later, investigator Norman Oliver documents this account. Drawings of the entity are preserved from the children's descriptions. However, in terms of evidence, that's all we have. When revisited the area where the children were, this temporary metal structure, this housing, was no longer there. With no physical evidence, no photographs, no other witnesses beyond these two children, no trace of the mysterious metal building, and no unidentified individual as to who may have been wearing this costume or whatever they may have seen, this is where the mystery is left off. Most UFO encounters follow recognizable patterns. Witnesses report lights in the sky, disc-shaped craft, humanoid beings, missing time. But the Sandow encounter doesn't quite fit that. And neither does it fit into any folklore, really. No ghost stories, no cryptozoology, no psychological case studies. And researchers have now spent decades trying to explain it. Perhaps it was an elaborate prank. Perhaps it was a fantasy that these children cooked up and told their father, who may have taken it a little too seriously. Perhaps something did happen, but their memories blocked out trauma and changed their encounter into something else. Or perhaps it belongs to that category of paranormal research called high strangeness. This is a technical term used to describe events so bizarre and illogical that they resist conventional explanation. If the children's account is accurate, then in the spring of 1973, on a quiet patch on the Isle of Wight, 2 young children spent nearly half an hour talking to a 7-foot-tall being, dressed seemingly like a clown who lived in this metal structure and claimed to be called All Colors Sam. And well over 50 years later now, nobody can say for certainty who Sam was or if he was really ever there at all. This is where the story of the Sandow Clown remains one of the most peculiar and unsolved mysteries still to this day. I think there's a couple options that we have to look at here. Most of what I've encountered for research seems to lean into extraterrestrial. Some kind of non-human being or humanoid-like creature that some even say is doing their best to appeal to children, but obviously not being of this planet, is just pulling from what they've understood, on their vague understanding of what a clown looks like and not quite being able to pull it off. With the idea of the clown, and the idea that these were 2 small children who I believe were between the ages of 5 and 7, if memory serves correctly. Unfortunately, I'm automatically drawn to the likes of John Wayne Gacy. Maybe this was a very bad, sick man. And maybe his intentions weren't quite as dire as John Wayne Gacy. But clearly, some impact was left, and maybe something else did happen. And this is pure speculation at this point. This is a conspiracy program after all, but trauma and repression do a hell of a thing to the memory. Or maybe this was some form of unworldly entity. Something that appeared to try and understand. Certainly from the account, it doesn't seem like the children were harmed or threatened in any way. But I guess that's where we're left to speculate. 216-859-8699. Let me know what you think was seen in 1973 on the island of Wight. This has been After Midnight. I have been radio's rebel DJ style. The text line stays open 24/7, 365. You can catch live broadcasts of After Midnight on Monday nights, technically Tuesday mornings at 12:03 a.m., or hear replays and rebroadcasts all throughout the rest of the week at that same time. If you want to listen to specific episodes, or you missed something or want to go back, the full backlog is available at WSRRradio.com, as well as some resources, some articles, and conspiracy conversation as well under the After Midnight tab. But until next time, I've been Style, and I'm wishing you goodbye and good night.
The preceding program was a WSRR radio production.